You just happened to show up when I was about to eat my lunch. Can you guess what I'm eating? Can anybody tell what that is? It's the one thing I'm not supposed to have because it's been outlawed. But it's the one thing that Cook is making right now in our story. Let's find out what happens in chapter 44. Whose ears are those? If you remember, Despero was just going into the kitchen and Cook was in there cooking, but he had to go in the kitchen because that was the only way to get to the dungeon. So let's see what happens. "Who's there?" shouted Cook again. Despero wisely said nothing. The kitchen was silent. Said Cook. "Nothing. It's nothing at all. Just my nervous Nelly ears playing tricks on me. Ha! You're an old fool," she said to herself. And as she turned her back to the stove, she heard something. "Oh, you're just an old fool afraid of being caught making soup." Despero slumped against the spool of thread, and as he leaned there, his heart pounding, his paws shaking, a small, wonderful something occurred to him. A midnight breeze entered the kitchen and danced over the stove and picked up the scent of the soup. And it swirled it across the floor and delivered the smell right directly to the mouse's nose. Despero put his head up in the air. He sniffed. He sniffed some more. He had never in his life smelled anything so lovely, so inspiring. With each sniff he took, he felt himself growing stronger, braver. Cook leaned in close to the kettle and put the spoon in and took the spoon out and blew upon the spoon and then brought it to her lips. She sipped and swallowed. She said. She took another sip. "Missing something," she said. "More salt, maybe." She put the spoon down and took an enormous salt shaker and sprinkled salt into the kettle. And Despero, feeling emboldened by the smell of soup, again set to work pushing the spool of thread. "Quickly," he said to himself, rolling the spoon across the floor. "Do it quickly. Do not think. Just push." Cook whirled the salt shaker in her hand and shouted, "Who goes there?" Despero stopped pushing. He hid behind the spool of thread as Cook took the candle from the stove and held it up high. She said. The candle came closer, closer. "What's this?" The light came to rest directly on Despero's big ears sticking up from behind the spool of thread. Remember that Despero has really big mouse ears. "Ho!" said the cook. "Whose ears are those?" And the light from the candle then shone full upon Despero's face. "A mouse in my kitchen?" Despero closed his eyes. He prepared for his death. If you remember, the cook said the only kind of good mouse is a dead mouse. He waited, reader, and he waited, and then he heard the sound of laughter. He opened his eyes and he looked at Cook. "Ho, ho," said Cook. "Ho, hee. For the first time in my life, I am glad to see a mouse in my kitchen." "Why?" said Despero. "Why? Why am I glad? Ho, hee. Because a mouse is not a king's man, here to punish me for making soup. That's why. Because a mouse is not a king's man, here to take me to the dungeon for owning a spoon. Ho, 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 a mouse. I, Cook, am glad to see a mouse." Cook's face was red and her stomach was shaking. "Ho, hee," she said again, "and not just any mouse. A mouse with a needle tied around his waist. A mouse with no tail. Ain't it lovely? Ho, hee." She shook her head and wiped at her eyes. "Look, mouse, these are extraordinary times, and because of that, we must have some peace among ourselves. I will not ask what you're doing in my kitchen, and you, in return, will not ask what I am cooking." She turned then and went back to the stove and set down the candle and picked up the spoon and again put it in the pot of soup and took it back out and tasted the soup, smacking her lips. "Not Not right, she said. Not quite right. Missing something still. Despero did not move. He could not move. He was paralyzed by fear. Paralyzed means you can't move. You're frozen. He sat on the kitchen floor. One small tear fell from his left eye. He had expected Cook to kill him. Instead, reader, she laughed at him. And he was surprised how much the laughter hurt. It doesn't feel good to have somebody laugh at you, does it? Well, that's how he's feeling right now. Come back again next time and we'll find out what happens next. But I gotta get back to eating this soup now. See you next time. Mmm.